Hey friends, it's Missy again. Thanks so much for stopping by today. I have a new layout and video for Hip Kit Club, and I'm using the January 2020 kits. And let me tell you, they are beautiful. The most gorgeous colors. I just cannot even pick a favorite paper. Everything is so pretty. I went ahead and picked a couple things that jumped out at me right away. A lot of them were the Pocket Life cards. Look at all these patterns and colors. So pretty. And I love all these soft colors mixed with the pops of black. I'm going to use some of all of that on my paper, or on my layout. Here's just a selection of some of the papers. I've modified one of the new cut files for this month, and I'm only going to use the 2020. And then I'm going to scrap these cute, funny, silly pictures of me and my sister. And this is actually something we did on New Year's Day. We went and worked out together. And so this is basically just a fun, colorful layout documenting something I did on New Year's Day. So kind of a Happy New Year fun type of layout. Right away, I knew I wanted to use this Happy New Year scripty piece from this Pocket Life card as either my title or part of a title, so I'm going to fussy cut that out. And then my assignment for today was to use a cut file, which I've got part of one, the 2020, and then also to incorporate circles. And so whenever I hear the word circles, I immediately think of my punches, because I have a huge stash of circle punches, as you can see there, from years and years of collecting them. And so I just go to town here. I'm just going to punch different size circles out of the Pocket Life cards, also some of the pattern papers. And this is a good technique or good idea if you want to use lots of colors and patterns on your layout. If you can't pick which paper to use, or you can't narrow it down, then you can pretty much use all of it if you punch little pieces out of each one, because this will enable you to use lots of colors, lots of patterns in small doses. And I think this technique also holds true for backing a cut file. You can use lots of colors, lots of patterns, and yeah, just make it very colorful and fun. But so that's what I'm going to do here, is just punch away and then try to incorporate all these circles into a design. I'm going to have one really big circle here. This is my biggest punch. It's almost as big as my hand, but the rest of the circles are, I believe, 2. So I started playing around with everything, and this was the first design idea that just popped into my head, and it was more of a vertical design. I thought about stacking the photos like this, and then separating them in the middle and putting the 2020 and the Happy New Year there, and then just sort of overlapping and layering all the circles behind the photos, and then just kind of go all the way around them. And I liked it, but I wasn't sure if I wanted the circles to actually overlap, so I'm going to change this idea. Now for my background, if you got the cardstock kit, let me tell you, the colors of cardstock they're all gorgeous. I mean, I could not pick, but I finally decided I had to pick. I finally decided on this beautiful shimmery gray color. And I chose it because I had so many colors going on that I thought it was a nice neutral color. Since the photos have some gray in there, I thought that the background being gray would pull some of the gray from the pictures, but also enhance all of the bright colors at the same time, because there's yellow cardstock, there's pink, there's blue, it's just beautiful. It's a beautiful variety of colors. But I kind of changed my mind on the design, and I decided to go with putting all the circles on the top half of the layout, and then the title and everything else down below. So this way the circles are not going to overlap. I wanted them all separate. And then I'm just going to play around with a lot of the embellishments. But I am going to do some mixed media on the background. And a lot of this is going to just be visible in between all the circles. So I'm going to use a lot of white gesso here. You're still going to be able to see that the background is gray, but I do want to use the color kit on this layout also. So I'm just using my white gesso, my palette knife, and of course my hands. Those are my best smudging tools. But I got to move fast here because it's tending to dry. I don't know if it's the shimmer of this type of cardstock, but it was wanting to dry really quickly. So as soon as I put it down, I needed to start smudging, because I wanted this gesso to look hazy and kind of cloudy. I didn't want it to look streaky or lined. So you can kind of see how that looks there. And then I'm going to kind of show you the colors in the color kit from Lindy's. We get 3 more colors of the magical powders. This one is a silvery gray color. It's called Silent Night Silver. And it actually has different colors in the powders. You can kind of see a pink tone there. It's got some pink in it. There are actually some yellows and some blues in there too. It just depends on which speck of powder you activate with water. It's really cool. It's mostly silver and it's definitely shimmery, but yeah, there's some hidden mystery colors in there. So it's definitely magical because you get a surprise whenever you start to spread it around with the water. But I thought since I had this light gray cardstock with the white gesso that it would be cool and pretty to kind of add some darker silvery gray tones. Again, it's going to enhance all the colors in the circles. I did want to add some pink. This is the color that we get, the pink color that we get this month. This one's called Plumeria Pink. Very, very pretty. And again, it's got lots of different shades of pink powders in there. Now this is going to dry pretty light. I didn't want it to be super dark. I did want it to be a light hazy pink because I didn't want it to compete with all the pinks in the circles. So I'm going to add a little bit there where you see it. I'm going to bring a little bit down, showing beneath where the 2 photos are going to go. And if you've followed my videos since we've been using the Lindy's, you know that I've had a time trying to find the right gesso to use for the Lindy's, because when I use this particular gesso here, the Liquitex White, you see how light it dries? For some reason, when it goes onto this Liquitex gesso, clear or white, it tends to dry really light. When I use the Art Basics gesso, I only have the clear though, it tends to stay more bold. But for this layout, I'm not going to use the clear, I'm just going to use the white because I wanted the hazy white effect on this gray cardstock. And I wanted the colors here to dry light, so I'm okay with it kind of being faded. I just wanted something interesting on the background behind all those circles, so it didn't have to be super dark or you know, I'm not going for perfection here because a lot of this is going to get covered up, which a mixed media background like this is never perfect. It's always a hot mess, but it does look different once you bring everything back on top of it. And I know I say that a lot, but it is true. So I'm just going to keep working with the pinks and the gray here. I just kind of blending them together in places. There you can kind of see the yellow. Do you see that yellow? That's what I was talking about earlier. I had no idea that I was going to pull that silver out and all of a sudden get some yellow. So yeah, you really don't know what color you may get in some of these powders. That's why they call them magicals, because they look one color, but when you add some water to it, you get like a mystery color. And it's really cool because you never know. You never know what it may be. But yeah, there's a little bit of yellow, and I actually like how it looks there, but that's mostly dry, still a little bit wet. Now this is the 3rd color that we get. It's a I would call it more of a Kelly green, very, very springy. It's called Merry-Go-Round Green. And I'm just going to start with that by adding some splatters here. And these actually dry very, very light. So I do come back at the end and add more of the green. I didn't want to do any green areas because I don't have a lot of green in the circles, but I just wanted to get a little bit of green going on. All right, so the background's pretty much done, and I love how that looks. I love how it's soft, but you're still going to be able to see something rather than just plain gray cardstock. So I'm going to add some texture to my circles. I'm going to run all of them through my little edge distresser there and just kind of ruffle up the edges. And then I'm going to start to work on putting it all together. I'm going to layer a little bit of tissue paper behind my photos there as just a messy little layer. I think my little helper is with me again today. You may see her appear in this video here in a second, or at least her arm. All right, so I'm going to work on the circles. I mainly want this, oh, there's her hand. Mainly wanted the circles on the top part of the layout. So I'm going to work on just kind of arranging those according to size and color and pattern. I didn't want to put, you know, two pink ones right beside each other, or the black and white stripes right beside each other. I wanted to kind of scatter them around. And this was fun to do because, you know, I have all these different sizes, and then I also have a lot of the stickers and die cuts and puffy stickers that are circles. You get these are little chipboard pieces. These are from Pink Fresh Studio. A lot of the new Pink Fresh Studio, oh, what's it called? My Favorite Story, I think, collection in this kit. And so you get a lot of their stickers, die cuts. There's some puffy stickers, things like that. So now to create some dimension, I'm going to pop most of the circles up using some adhesive foam, all except the puffy stickers because they already are pretty dimensional. Now I did want to add some more pink down to the bottom, so I noticed that that had dried really, really light, so I'm going to add another layer of the pink to be visible down below the two photos. And again, it's going to dry nice and soft, and that's what I want. I don't want it to be super dark. So I'm just going to smudge a little bit with a napkin, a little bit with my hand there. And then I'm going to use this little piece that I cut earlier from one of the Pocket Life cards. I wanted the edge of this heart to kind of overlap the side of the photo. So I'm just going to use my X-Acto knife to cut that left side of it. So you can kind of see what I'm talking about there. Now I can kind of tuck the photo in, and so it can overlap on the side. And I am going to pop that up as well. And almost everything has dimensional foam behind it. I have not glued anything down at this point, but I'm pretty sure that everything is where it's going to go. Yeah, and I like how this is looking. I love the mix and match of these colors. But yeah, these photos were on New Year's evening, actually. I know I've mentioned in some of my videos before that I'm a fitness instructor, and I teach, one of the classes that I teach is body pump. I don't know if you guys have ever done a body pump class, but it is one of my all-time favorites, and I've been teaching it for just about 7 years now. And my sister, she started taking my class a couple years ago, and this past April decided that she wanted to start teaching it, so she went and got certified to teach it and now has her own class. She's at a different gym in a different city. We're in the same county, but she's in a different gym, and we both teach on the same night, so I can never go to her class on Wednesdays. Well, New Year's Day, my gym was closed, but her gym was open, and so she had to teach at 6:30 at night. So I said, oh, I can finally come to your class. I had not been able to take any of her classes yet. So I drive over there to take her class, all excited, and no one came. No one else showed up because it was New Year's night. I was still wondering why they even made them teach because, you know, people are doing things on New Year's night. But I went, and no one came, so it was just me and her. So we just decided to do the class anyway. So we just did it ourselves. And, you know, naturally, when you're by yourself with your sister, you're going to take selfies afterwards. So that's what we did. And so that's what these pictures are. So it's like, Happy New Year. Let's just work out together. So that's what we did. And it was fun. And it was just a fun memory. And so that's why this is a Happy New Year layout, because that's what I did on New Year's Day. That's the story behind those photos. But yeah, all I'm doing here is putting everything together, gluing things down. I am going to add some thread here. I'm going to use yellow thread because I felt like, you know, I've got a lot of pink down there below the photos. I wanted to pull some of a color that I didn't have a lot of, and so I felt like that was yellow. So that's why the yellow is going to go there. I'm going to leave the 2020 open and just kind of use it as a title. And I got that from one of Kim Watson's cut files for January. It's actually got a bunch of stars around it, and it says it's 2020, but I just cut all that off and just used the 2020. So whenever you're looking at cut files, you don't have to use the entire thing. You can use a portion of it. You can use just a little bit of it. The possibilities are endless. And so I'm just using a portion of the cut file here because I just wanted the 2020. Because I didn't want to use stars. I wanted to use circles because I've created 2 star layouts with the December kits. And so I'm trying to stay away from stars for a while because I felt like I've gone star crazy. But I just love stars. But I also love circles. Gluing it all down. That's all I'm doing here. I'm adding some more adhesive foam. I've got some more of the Pink Fresh Studio die cuts that I'm going to add down here at the bottom. I'm going to use this little row of rainbow hearts. Yeah, I just popped everything up using dimensional foam, I think. I think just about everything is popped up. But I love dimension. I know I say that a lot, but I really do. I think it just adds so much more to a layout. It just makes it pop off the page and not look so flat. Now, I took a break and I decided that this layout needed some stitching. So obviously I had already glued down the circles, so I just pulled some of them up. Yes, it was crazy, but I stitched through them. And the little ones I couldn't stitch through. So you see what I'm doing here. I'm just using my pen and I'm fake stitching. I'm just drawing some messy little black circles around there. And I couldn't stitch straight on a lot of them because the circles were so small. I did some straight stitching on that little die cut there, and then some zigzag back and forth stitching through the 2020 and then underneath those hearts. But yeah, I don't know. I felt like stitching, so I peeled up some of those circles and stitched through them, even though it's kind of messy. I don't care. I still like how it looks. And I use black thread for that. This is almost done. I am going to tear and cut a little piece of this Pocket Life card. It says Hello 2020. I like that it's black and white. I'm going to use that somewhere. I think I'm going to put that above the photos. And I actually forget to glue it down. As I was photographing this layout, I realized, oh, I should glue that down. So it is glued down now, but I do forget to glue it down on this video. These are some crepe paper, little glittery enamel hearts. And then I wanted to add something up at the top. So I'm just going to use these Pink Fresh Studio Alphas and put up there, let's do this. Because, you know, we were working out, so we did that. And then thought about adding some more hearts, but I don't. I didn't want it to look too busy. I just wanted to keep the circles, and then keep the hearts, a couple of the hearts on the pictures, and then down there at the bottom. We're almost done here. I'm going to draw in my lines for journaling, and I'm going to use my black Sharpie. This is just a fine tip Sharpie to write my journaling. And then the last thing I'm going to do is come back with the green. I know I said that earlier, and add some more green splatters, because I do have a little bit of green going on, but not a lot. So this is going to be more of a subtle color. And then I do add some black splatters as well. And the black is not from the color kits. That's just from my stash. It is a Shimmers. And it's called Night Moves. And it's just your standard black. And so, yeah, that's how we're going to end this. I'm going to splatter that down in a couple spots. And that's the final layout. I love how this turned out. The kits this month are so pretty. I mean, the colors, oh, they're just my favorite. I can't wait to make another layout using these kits. I had to photograph this later in the afternoon, so my lighting was kind of off. So I tried to edit these photos to get the truest color I could. But I think the gray background also kind of made the layout, or these pictures look kind of grayish. But so hopefully you can still see the colors there. But anyway, let me know if you have any questions. This was fun to make. And I cannot wait to see what you guys make with your January kits. So let me know if you have any questions, and I will see you in my next video. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope y'all have a great week.